it darkened the scroll, but see how clear the letters are? And these are all faded letters, and this chemical, whatever it was, several hundred, 400 years ago, brought it to life.
So when they write, none of these letters touch each other, right?
If they touch each other, they can't use the scroll. But look at here. Why the extra big letter explained right there? This means this is very important. Stop and think it through. See, these within the lines, these spaces is like on Hebrew. In the book of Psalms where it says Selah, meaning stop, meditate on this. That's what these means. Within, when it starts like this at the end of this side or this side, it's a line of a new thought of truth. When you have a line that goes all the way through it, there's none right here, but this almost does, means it's like a chapter. When you have 4 perfect lines, it's the end of one book, the beginning of another. Whenever you have the line here at the end, you don't hyphenate a Hebrew word. So what happens if the word is too long to end here? They would take and compress it if they could. And if they couldn't compress it, then they'd take the last letter of the word before and stretch it out to the margin, and then take the thing and start the new margin. So they have a perfect grade. But when you see these lines within the text, it means totally different. This means what you just read is very, very important. Stop. Go back over. They want to make sure you interpreted it right, not just copied it right. And it's incredible what's in here. 4,000 regulations, which I explain in all these things here that you would never get in a seminary. Most seminary graduates have never seen what's in these commentaries around here.
And they said it's 72 feet long when you spread it.
This one is 72.6 inches long. My other 4 are over 100 feet long. Yeah. And see, here's a big letter. What does that mean? What are these things here? Do you know what? It's amazing. No one's really been able to tell me what a jot and tittle is when Jesus said neither jot nor tittle. A jot is the tiniest letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Like right there, that little, it looks like a comma with a little line going up, little line going down. Those are jots, right? That's not a jot there. They're all through here by the thousands. The little tiny letter. And then a tittle is like this right here, where there are little lines that go up. They're insignificant. It's just for ornamentation, but the scribe has to memorize 4,000 regulations. A part of those is this letter must always have these 3 tittles on it in every single scroll. What Jesus said is, neither the tiniest letter of the Hebrew alphabet, the jot, nor the most insignificant part of the scroll will flake off or pass away until all is fulfilled. And you have a literal historical proof of that right here, where you see, like right there, this is where, when they would stretch the scroll, the weak area would open up. And so before they would write, they would cut out another piece and glue it from underneath with this glue from animal fat. And they will not write over it. See, it stops there. But here is where they had a mistake or something, and they cut it out, glued it, then you can write over it. And I think maybe why is this showed a weakness, and they didn't want to write over a weakness on there. But then here, see how these are all columns, and this one's divided into 2 columns. One column is divided into 2. Why? They believe this is an important message for God's people. And so therefore, you only read 1/2 the column. Now, do you understand it? And then you come back over here, instead of reading all the way across like this, or this, the entire column. And then, it just goes on and on and on. It's phenomenal.
It's amazing.
Yeah. See, these are stretching the word out, and this within is how important this is. Stop, stop, stop. This is so critical, this word. It's just amazing. Here's where they compressed it together to kind of create the margin. But not one of those letters can touch. And this was done by candlelight. You can see some places here, you can see the wax droppings. And they did it with a quill. That's a hole. Yeah, these are wax droppings. That is right there. And they did it with a quill from feather from a goose, because it was harder when they would sharpen it. And they did all of this by candlelight. Not one letter can touch. If the letter touched for the name for God, Yahweh, Elohim, Adonai, whatever, they can't use the text. They cannot correct it. If any of these letters touch, they can scrape it off and correct it. They must do it within 30 days. But if they get 2 years of work, and all of a sudden the quill bleeds, and 2 letters named for God, they can't use the whole scroll. 2 years of work down the tube. So what they would do, they'd come to a name like Elohim. and they would stop and they wouldn't write the last letter of the word before the name for God. Why? Because these quills bleed. So what they do, they'd stop, ceremonially wash their hands, pick up a special quill, dip it in, probably shake it off because they could never spill the ink. Shake it off. Then they'd write the last letter of the word before the name for God to draw the ink out of the quill so it wouldn't bleed. Then they would do the name for God. There's 4,000 regulations like that in here. It's just absolutely...
I think my 16-year-old could have written it because it looks just like his
Yeah.
handwriting. And none of his letters ever touch.
And I've got to get to the booksellers convention in Miami. Oh, look at this. Oh my gosh. See there? This is all compressed. And what they did, they probably had a major mistake here. And they had to scrape it all off, but they couldn't go another letter, so they compressed the entire line together. Right there is a jod. There's all, come on, there's all kinds here. There's tittles. There's a jod right there, that little tiny one right there. Those are all tittles there. Yeah.
Who taught you all this? I mean, obviously you got this, and then how long did it?
Study.
You studied it yourself.
Study.
Yeah.
And now I own the thing.
So when you got this,
This is so
you had a bunch of people who came and taught you about all this.
Well,
No?
see, I learned a lot of this in trying to refute it,
Okay.
make a joke of it. And that's probably why I have such deep convictions about it. Boy, it doesn't wrinkle. Look at that. Oh, my gosh.
It's beautiful.
So how do we get
How
one of
did you
those?
avoid getting?
Well,
it?
I'm
Purchase
hoping
one of those?
I will have one of these in 2 weeks complete. This is just a little segment of it for me to test today to see if I like it. And probably in 2 weeks I'll have the entire, it'll be 76 feet long, because this is not the beginning. I have at the beginning the introduction of all of it, how unique it is. And then at the end I have 4 incredible examples of how 4,000 laws produce perfect text. And I have 4 examples documented in history at the end of the scroll.
Is this what it was
I just put
built
that
on?
there
Oh,
to protect
to
it.
protect
But
it.
I didn't, there were already holes there from normally would be the rollers would
Right.
be there. But I wanted to protect it. And I gotta go.
All right.
Thank you.
See y'all later.